wanted to talk about Mike getting banned. I don't know exactly how long he got banned for, but I wanted to talk about the ban, and I think he got banned for the latter of the two tweets I'm going to show, two videos I'm going to show, but I saw this one. Okay, so I saw this one initially. I think this one was first.
It's always whining, bitching.
Mike's screaming.
Well, it's not realistic to actually want change. I don't know who buck broke you into believing that the world has to be shit, but it doesn't. The power to declare war. Just 7 Democrats have signed on to Sanders' proposal. Isn't this pathetic? Isn't this pathetic?
This wasn't why he was banned? Yeah, but I wanted to talk about this clip.
The power to declare war
We'll get
rests
to it.
solely with Congress, and Kane and others want to assert that authority. And that's the dirty secret that Democrats don't want you to know. There is only a handful of actually progressive people aligned with the base of this country in the Democratic Party.
Okay, the rest of the clip is talking about the Democratic Party, and you know the rest. And I want to talk about two things. One, I want to talk about his response to this clip. Oh, I guess more important than that. First, the definition of buck breaking. Yeah, someone in chat defined it pretty well. It was a practice where slave owners would sexually assault their slaves as a way of making them submissive.
Right. So he said, I don't know who buck broke you into believing the world has to be shit, but it doesn't. Right. And so you may be asking, what does the term buck breaking mean? And if you're wondering why I put up one of my videos, it's because I've talked about what the term buck means. It's not synonymous for cuck. It's not synonymous for cuck. It is a very racialized, right, historically racist term utilized against Black men. It is, right? And there's a reason why I wanted to talk about this specifically is because I've talked about this, right? This is an issue of education. This is an issue of education. I think about racism I didn't know existed. Wait. I mean, racism I didn't even know existed today. And that's kind of my biggest issue, my biggest problem. Because it's not like this information is not out there, right? If you watch me, you would have known about this information, right? If you listen to Black voices, which is why I'm so frustrated, you know, especially in the clip that we'll get to later, right? So you got me for calling out that phrase in the past. I think that's bad if that's the case, right? But I've talked about this. What's the title of this video is showing? It's called The Commodification of the Black Identity. But yeah, I'm gonna play this, and this will give you the context of what the term buck means. The buck, or the brute. The buck is a Black man whose sole desire is the white woman. As his name suggests, being a reference to the adult male deer, he is large and sometimes menacing. The brute is an offshoot of the buck archetype with a specific emphasis on the aggressive nature of the Black man. The brute is a fiend, an animalistic criminal deserving of death who targets helpless victims, specifically white women. Both the buck and the brute archetype paint Black men as hypersexual and overtly aggressive, and they're commonly wrapped into one. That's it. That's what the buck or the brute archetype is, right? And how this relates to and I'll look at what Nandra said in a second, 'cause I think it's very important. How this relates to the term buck breaking is historically, in the antebellum South, there is a usage of physical and sexual violence, right, from the slave owners in order to break this stereotype, right, to break down Black men and to make them more subservient, right? This is physical violence, which you would see in like slave media, whipping, you know, striking them physically, right? Stuff like that, but also sexual violence, which I will not go into describing. That is where the term buck breaking comes in. Buck referring to the hardened, aggressive Black men, and buck breaking being the action that slave owners would take to break those, you know, those Black men. They would beat them every night. Yes. That is where the term buck breaking comes from. There's no way Mike didn't know that, right? He might not have known. Right? I don't want to get lost into how much he knew or didn't know, because in my opinion, it's not particularly relevant, right? But the point is that I've talked about this before, right? The racial implications of the term buck and using it, or using the term buck breaking, is something that he should have been aware of, right? And that chatters should have been aware of, that the community should have been aware of. But the problem is that there is a lack of Black voices to explain these things to these communities. And the ones that are there aren't regarded very positively, for being entirely real. Does I highlight that he apologized about it yesterday? No, because I honestly don't care, right? My point is this is deeper than Mike. Chat, you're so focused and stuck on like Mike specifically, and my point is that like this is deeper than Mike, right? This is past just Mike. You know, this is indicative of a wider issue in the streaming landscape. Right? I'm not saying this to cancel Mike. I'm not saying this to get Mike permanently banned off the platform, right? But I'm saying this so that you understand why there is frustration in the space. I'm saying this so you understand why marginalized people, why I have been so frustrated in this space for the last 5 months specifically. I've talked about this issue for the last 5 months specifically. I've talked about the lack of representation of Black people in this space for the last 5 months specifically. And I saw the community crucify me for it. And the chatters who were in here saw it as well. I saw myself be positioned as jealous, as envious, when I was frustrated by the fact that somebody like Dean is highlighted to speak on behalf of Black people, right, when he was saying slurs 2 years ago. I was met with the same fuckery that I see every single day in the fucking chat about charitability this and charitability that. I'm told time and time again about how much infinite charitability we must extend to people who are miseducated or uneducated or uninformed, but are talking about our issues. But when I say I want to see people that look like me be taken seriously in the space, I'm told it's jealousy. Do you understand how that's frustrating? Do you understand how people like me, how marginalized people can be frustrated by that? It's not that the information wasn't here. It's that nobody gave a fuck.
About to go get the Henny.
That's what's frustrating. I've talked about this shit before. And that's why it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I know that there's like a documentary about it, and I know that like at the time of this clip, this was shortly after people like Stavy had said it. So I think it was like, I think this was in the general lexicon at the time, which like, this feeds into a greater point that I want to make, but really quickly.
Sat on my glasses too, yeah.
It looks like you're looking up at the guy you're about to blow.
Well, why would I have a microphone?
It's standing in for his cock, actually. You let them fucking put the dress on you, dude. You let them buck break you here, dude. That's clearly the posture of a guy who's about to suck the establishment's dick.
Not to sound like when Chatter says not to sound like a depraved right winger, but broken somewhat common of a word for middle-aged people in the Midwest and South. I mean, I'm not going to comment on whether or not it's okay to use it or not. I want to let Mike speak for himself because he responded to this before the ban, because this is not what he got banned for. This was just a separate video or a separate clip that I saw was trending at the moment.
I shouldn't have said that. If I said that, I should have said that. It's the same thing. It's like saying Uncle Tom. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm sorry if I said something like that. I think I was trying to say cuck, but yeah, you shouldn't use that. As a non-Black person, you shouldn't do that. If I did that, that's fucked up. I'm sorry about that. Like, no, don't do that.
I think everyone is being a little overly judgmental on the term if there. It's obviously a chatter that came in and said, what did you think about you saying that? And so he's responding immediately directly to that. I think that's like a minor misspeak. I think it's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think that the word if there is a big deal. I think he shouldn't have said if. I think he should have just said, that was bad. You shouldn't say that. And I agree. I think it is very similar to like Uncle Tom, where I don't touch Uncle Tom. Listen, you know what, man? If people in the Black community want to use those terms, I'm not going to stop them. Those are their words to use. Those are their terms to use. I'm not going to be the one to police that language. You will never see me watching a fucking Sean stream and being like, Sean, how could you call this person Uncle Tom? Like, you should know better. I'm not going to be that person, okay? No. That's not me. That's not, listen, that can stay there. It doesn't matter if, like, it doesn't matter how Uncle Tom someone is, you still shouldn't say it. Right? It just doesn't matter. Like, I think we can run with, like, for example, Clandis Owens. I think that's a very catchy name. I think we should just keep calling her Clandis Owens. I think that's a good name. I think that's a great name. We don't need to touch any weird racially charged terms. I think we're good on that. Clandis is good. It's catchy. It's fitting. It works. It rolls off the tongue, right? And then like the same thing with like buck breaking. It's just like, I get it's like in the lexicon or whatever, and that's why people were saying it. Just stay away from saying it, right? I think an issue is Black creators have been trying to educate people in the community, but people aren't watching them or they would know about this. Well, yeah, I mean, this has always been like a problem on the internet for like the longest time. But it's not an easy problem to fix because, how do I explain this? You can't make people watch people. Like, it doesn't matter how much you promote a creator. You can't make people sit down and watch another creator. You just can't. Like, you can't like strap someone down Clockwork Orange style. The content has to be palatable and appealing to more people, right? And how do you solve a bunch of people not finding someone relatable enough to watch? Like, like the only thing you can do is like, as a white cis man in leftist spaces, is try and promote more diversity. But there isn't, like, you can't really do more. Like, you can't do more than that, right? One chatter says, I'm a Black woman. I've been called the name of that syrup lady. I forgot her name, but it's kind of a slur for Black women. Oh, Aunt Jemima. Dude, thank God they changed the name. As someone who used to buy...
Love, may your life be a masterpiece painted with the colors of joy.
Let me just say... Oh, thanks. Let me just say. I actually like the box pancakes. I know, just sue me, okay? I'm sorry. I don't like the syrup. I'm using maple syrup or I'm using honey. Don't be disgusting. But I like the box pancakes. And I just felt racist buying the Aunt Jemima box. I just liked that one the most. And I felt like a racist person buying it. I'd be like, dude, like, they need to change this label. I don't want to be like, do you guys have any more Aunt Jemima? I don't want to have to ask the staff this, dude. Please, please, just change the name, please. And now it's like, I don't know why they changed it to something so shit. They changed it to like Milling Company 738 or whatever. I don't fucking know. It's so why did they change Pearl Milling Company? Change it to something good. They were like, okay, we have two options: boring or racist. Okay. So if we remove the racist one, we're fucked. It's like, dude, there are better names. What the fuck? Yeah, that one was not cool. That one was not cool. That was definitely not. At least with Land O'Lakes, I don't think they had to change their name. They just had to remove the Indigenous woman off the fucking cover, which was always bizarro. Your brand name is Aunt Jemima. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, just anyways, they should have changed it something. You can be boring and racist. That's true. That is actually true. That's true. Do you think the Sydney Sweeney eugenics jeans ad was racist? Well, the thing is, things don't exist in a vacuum. And people should be smart enough to know that things don't exist in a vacuum. I talk about eating my cat all the time. And if I had guests on, I would tell them, do you want to eat Mayor Cat? Should we bake him? Inshallah, he shall be baked. I wouldn't make that joke on stream with like an Asian guest. I might make a different joke. You know, I might be like, I don't know. I can't come up with one off the top of the, I can't immediately come up with one. But like things don't exist in a vacuum and you can't make the same comments towards the same people all the time. Because things don't exist in a vacuum. We live in a society, right? Like, I think you can jokingly say, what's the, you know, like the monkey hitting the cymbal? You guys know what I'm talking about? I love that little toy. This one. I mean, I don't love it because it's terrifying, but I like making fun of people with this insult and saying that, like, this is what they have in their head, like Tectone and Tectone fans, that's all they hear in their head. They just hear, like, the little monkey with the symbol. But I would never make that joke when I was talking about, like, a Black content creator. Because you know that these tropes exist and these stereotypes exist, and you know that like racism is real. I mean, if you know. If you don't know, then like you're fucking cooked. I don't know what to tell you. And so like you should be more cautious. And like unless you like, I think there's two options. You're either too stupid to be able to understand that things don't exist in a vacuum, or you understand and you're just deciding to be an asshole anyways, which is insane. Like, you either have low EQ or like you can barely fucking put your pants on. Like, you know what I mean? Tectone guy has no Black fans, ? Where did you come up with this? That is a totally different sentence. We're not even pancake waffles anymore. We're like Pancake and Eggs now. Like, this is a totally new sentence. What's going on? We've totally left that conversation. Oh my. I did not make that comment. Well, we're not going to get too deep into the nitty gritty there. We're not. We've left the griddle. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah, so like I think that the Sydney Sweeney ad inherently in like in a utopia where there was no racism and no eugenics, the ad is fine. It's just an ad. But like we don't live in that reality, and we haven't
Denims is
ever.
streaming.
And so maybe American Eagle should be more cautious about putting a blonde, blue-eyed white woman on and talking about how superior her genes are in this political climate where we're just deporting anyone that looks a little brown. Like, maybe not during the administration where they're literally black bagging random people off the street and sending them to like alligator Alcatraz. Like, as an idea, maybe this is the wrong time to make that statement and that ad. They're playing it fast and loose with eugenicist rhetoric in a pretty racially charged climate, LOL. Yeah, LOL, yeah. Anyways, going back to this clip, this buck breaking thing. I agree. I don't think anyone should be saying it. I think trying to twist this as if it's like, oh, this is a secret dog whistle and he's been secretly racist the whole time, instead of it being like, this is just something that, like, I don't know if you would call them dirtbag leftists, but something close to that we're using. Savvy probably shouldn't say it. Mike probably shouldn't say it. I think we should move away from saying it. I don't think it's more than that. I don't think it's more complicated than that. I think it's bad behavior. We shouldn't engage in it. I don't think it's evidence of anything more than that, right? I also did lose a ton of respect from some leftists on here, making this a way bigger deal. It's such shitty rad lib behavior. Well, I have like a personal opinion that I think a lot of people rightfully were very upset about Lolo, but because Lolo kind of disappeared off the internet, people are still sitting with this anger and this rage about like white leftists, especially white leftist men, who will say all the things that they need to say so that they can engage in like sexually shitty behavior, but they don't have an outlet for it. So they're trying to find other outlets for it that are not as fair. Like, there are things that should be criticized within the movement, and that we should do these things inside of the movement, and that we should hold each other accountable inside of the movement. And we don't need to do propaganda for the right. Sort of like, I won't tone police anyone in the Black community criticizing homophobia in the Black community or misogyny in the Black community. From the little that I've seen and talking to my Black friends, seemingly there is a homophobia problem, and some of it stems from like overly religious beliefs and stuff, but it's not my place to speak on it. And it should be criticized by the people within that community, right? I take an issue with like white people online being like, we need to do something about how homophobic Black people are. It's like, whoa, dude, what the fuck are you saying? First of all, why are you presupposing that like you shouldn't be fixing white people homophobia first? Like, what's happening here? What is going on? What the fuck? So like, I will criticize white leftists who interject in, for example, queer spaces or in Black spaces or whatever. But I do think that the people in those spaces should be able to critique things within the community, right? So like, as someone who's queer, I recall when the new flag, the new gay flag, started including the brown and black stripes. And I remember being in queer spaces as someone who's queer. You're what? And I remember there was like discourse within the community about like whether or not there should be an entire flag change for extra colors, because I think to non-racist people, it's obvious that like, I think to educated or like willing to be educated non-racist queer people, it's obvious that, racism is bad and like homophobia exists towards queer people of different racial backgrounds. But I think everyone in the queer community, or not everyone, but like most people agreed that because there is racism within the queer community that should be addressed, that like, for example, white gay men can be very fucking racist and they hide behind their gay status as like a shield for their racist beliefs, or like for like, oh, well, I'm allowed to act this way because it's this way or whatever. The usage of like usage of AAVE by specifically white gay men, right? Or like, very misogynistic gay men. So I remember within the queer community, there was this conversation about whether or not like the flag should be changed, whether or not the rainbow flag should be changed to also include these colors. And I thought there was nothing wrong with having that that conversation within the community, right? That within the community, it was worthwhile to have that conversation. But anyone outside of the queer community hopping in and being like, look at these wokies thinking about changing the flag. It's like, hold up. Only the people in the community can make that comment, okay? We're still deciding. We haven't decided. Some of us think maybe we should. Some of us aren't sure about changing it. You have no comment on that, all right? Stop it. Get the fuck out, all right? Stop. And so what's the definition of queer? I mean, just like not straight. Just an umbrella term for not being straight. That's it. Yeah. Not being cishet. Exactly. So. What a lot of people don't get, imagine two people arguing and then deciding to butt in and give your opinion despite only hearing and understanding one of the insults you overheard. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The point is, when people have valid criticism, calling them radlibs, woke scolds of the day it's not right. It makes it worse so that people feel hurt who cannot speak up. Okay. And so like normally I would agree, JFK rotting. The problem with this, there's just one problem with this conversation. There's one. All right. And I will get to it in a second. Because the circumstances here are fucking weird as shit. And they make me a little uncomfortable. So let's talk about the clip that he got banned for, which was this one. Let me see if I can find it. I think, okay, I think I got it. As an LGB person, I feel like the TQIA make my life harder. Is it fair for me to feel this way? I don't think so. I'm pulling up the Adam comic. You have to understand that, like, once they're done with their eugenics against trans people and queer people, and non-LGB people, you're next. This comic is like peak. I will show this comic a million times if I have to. We did it. We finally outlawed all the trans people and drag queens. Thank you for your help. And it's a guy with like a red hat, like a MAGA hat. And he's talking to this other guy that says LGB without the T on his shirt. And he says, happy to be of service. And so he says, who are we going after next? Who's next? Who? The type of people that are convincing you or convincing others that like, oh, it's just these evil trans people and that's the reason why everyone hates gay people. It's not because they hate gay people. They're just lying and they're being disingenuous. They're pretending like, oh, the trans people are so evil and so we have to get rid of them. That's what we have to do. They're only saying that to get you on their side so that they can go after it. Because like it's recycled bigotry. Go back a couple years, go back a decade, and guess what? They were saying the same thing about gay people. They're like, well, we're gonna let men get married. What's next? Animals? What's next? Children? It's like, I hate you people. The people who say those stupid sentences. So yeah. And again, like I said, I don't think that like within the queer community there can't be conversations, right? Like, I think within the queer community, I don't think there's anything wrong with having conversations about like having a united front on things. Like what should spaces with drag queens look like, right? What should be allowed in these spaces? What should be allowed here? What should be allowed there? Like how is the best way for us to have a united front? Not to erase any of these identities, but to have a good united front together, because we all know that none of the people in here or being queer is not inherently linked to being a groomer or any of these other things. Those are totally irrelevant. And yeah, trans people have been fighting on the front lines for LGBT rights too, for the entire time. The entire time. They've been there. Newsflash, asshole. They've been there the whole time. So yeah, I think there can be conversations in the queer community about the queer community. But I think like doing more than that is you're just like, you want yours, and then guess what happens after that? Got it. Fucking finally. All right, so I think he got banned for this, if I'm not mistaken. And this is like, we got banned for a month for a tier list about hummus. The second anything regarding, and like the tier list was not fucking racist. The tier list was not anti-Semitic. if it makes no sense for the tier list to have been racist, considering that me, Mike, Sneeko, somebody else was like in the Sabra category. Like, it literally doesn't make any sense. But this statement, I'll play it for you guys and then we can go from there.
That is right.
The curse of Iran's unremitting aggression, or the blessing of a historic reconciliation between Arab and Jew. In the days that followed
That's shit crazy.
the blessing
Jew is not a fucking ethnic. It is a Jewish is not an ethnicity. This constructed ethnicity, this demonic ethnicity, wholly invented.
And so let me say a couple of things. First of all, completely unacceptable, right? Like, these words in this order, completely unacceptable. From where I'm standing, having known Mike, having seen what Mike has said and done, him being one of the first people to talk about just like a number of issues for so long, especially talking about Bibi Netanyahu right after Bibi Netanyahu speaking, I feel very certain that, one, he meant to say, and this is like a major fuck up, and he absolutely should apologize for this, Zionist, because it makes no sense to say wholly made up about Jewishness. Like, being Jewish is not made up. Zionists or like Israelis, that sentence now makes sense, right? Saying that like it's a constructed identity, that being a Zionist is a constructed identity. That sentence makes sense. This is a major fuck up. This statement being anti-Semitic means that the ban is deserved, and he absolutely should apologize. I do think genuinely that his actions over the past, and his like words over the past 2 years, speak to his character more than a clip from, surprise by the way, 10 months ago. And this is where I'm like, very frustrated, because this clip has been circulated not by Ethan Klein, not by DGG, not by any of these people. This was circulated by actual rad lips that have been sitting on this clip that were fine to associate until they decided they wanted to put this clip out now. And that's what I don't like. We should all unequivocally disavow this statement, and he should apologize for this statement, because it doesn't matter if he fucked up. It doesn't matter if he misspoke. He should apologize. And I will stand by that. Because even if you misspeak, if you say something fucked up in your misspeak, even if you meant to say Zionist, if that's not what you said, you should apologize for what you did say. I mean, I love to show the FouseyTube clip because it's such a good... Can I play it for you guys? Titled FouseyTube Says the N-Word.
Because there's beauty in the struggle, nigga. There's beauty in the struggle, nigga. I never use that word. I swear to fucking God, this isn't content. I never use that fucking word. I've listened to rap songs every day on this subathon, and I always change it out for brother. I had a tweet that literally said,
Oh, God. Oh my God. what my point with showing that clip is, it doesn't matter if you misspeak. It doesn't matter if you never say it. It doesn't matter if this is like a once in a lifetime. It doesn't matter if you're just trying to do your subathon and you never say it and you always substitute it for brother. And you committed the crime of being on stream and then singing along the N-word or whatever. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't do it. You should apologize for doing it, right? And I think it's the same thing here. It's like, I don't really care if it was a misspeak. I don't really care if it was very obviously him meaning to say Zionism, because, again, the last sentence makes no sense. Saying Jewish is a made up or whatever, that doesn't make any sense. That only makes sense if you were thinking to say Zionist, right? So this is like unacceptable. Absolutely should apologize. And if he doesn't apologize, like he's gonna apologize, because this is unacceptable behavior. And I think that he will. I think that his track record has shown a dedication to leftist values, and I think it'd be very out of character for him to decide randomly, like, I'm going to double down or whatever on this. I think that'd be fucking insane. I think it'd be insane. And again, we'll see what happens when he streams about it, and we can judge at that time. I think it was in reference also to the history of language of modern Hebrew. No, I think it was, I think the beginning of the statement about, like, Jewish is not an ethnic was talking about how, like, Asian is not an ethnic. Like, you can be Filipino, or you can be Chinese, or you can be Korean. Like, Asian is not an ethnic, right? In the same way that, like, you can be Sephardic or Mizrahi or all these other things, and they're all distinctly different, and pretending like they're not and just grouping them together is inaccurate, right? And it's something that the state of Israel does because they want to be able to shield themselves from any criticism by saying, well, we're the home of the Jews and all of the Jews, and it's all the same. And that's why if you ever criticize anything that we do, it's anti-Semitic, right? I mean, like, and this is not a new thing, talking about how, like, this strategy by Israel, talking about how this has existed for a very long time, is not new. I mean, I think I saw this recently as well.
Of Arab descent, but is Jewish.
White is neither. I mean,
was a teenager in
but that's the meme, by the way. That's the fucking meme with Europeans, or like with Americans that say, like, return to white culture, and it's a video of, like, a Romanian kid doing opera. It's like, that's not white culture, you fucking moron. That's a Romanian engaging in Romanian culture. Or, like, they'll post, like, a video of, like, a Swedish woman walking around. It's like, that's not white culture. That's a Swedish person. What are you fucking talking about? So let's get this.
And he actually got mad when I said, well, you're Arab. Like, your family is from an Arabic country. Like, from an Arab country. And he was like, no, I'm Jewish. The categorization for Arab Jews in Israeli society, the specific designation for it is Mizrahi. Okay? There are Ashkenazi Jews, Eastern European Jews that are white. Many of them also living in the United States of America, the majority. There are Persian Jews as well. Okay? And there are Arab Jews that are Mizrahi and Sephardic. Okay, Sephardic Jews are from Spain or by way of Spain through the MENA region. But these designations, these separate designations, are all bracketed under Jewish. Okay?
Like, but Israel has an incentive to try and group as many people as possible and say that, like, well, Jewish people are native to, we're indigenous to this region. It's like, wait. Jewish is a big category. Okay? Jewish is a larger category than you guys are pretending it is, so that you can continue your ethnic cleansing. And I think to people who understand or know the difference between like Sephardic Jews or Mizrahi Jews or whatever, understand what the IDF goal of like pulling blonde hair, blue-eyed women and putting them in recruitment ads and saying, oh, well, they're Jewish and they're indigenous to the region. It's like, okay, just because someone is Jewish does not, in fact, mean that they are indigenous to Israel. That's not what that means. That's not what that means at all. And I think when you're talking about or you're responding to or you're watching like Netanyahu and you see him pull that shit, you know immediately what he's trying to do, right? So yeah. That's what Mike was saying. He misspoke because that's exactly what he meant. And to be clear, like the misspeak, in my opinion, is very bad. And I do think that like sidebar, I didn't know Twitch bans people for months old clips or like year old clip. I didn't know that Twitch did that. Good to know. But I do think that misspeak was so bad that I understand people calling for a ban for that behavior. Because Twitch doesn't want to be caught saying that they don't want to be caught holding streamers on their platform saying stuff like that and taking no accountability, right? It's kind of like a lose-lose for Twitch, because if you take action, you're telling everyone that you can bully streamers as much as you want and like find the oldest clips you want and get these people banned, especially with Twitch and Twitch and the ADL getting involved and like Richie Torres and all this stuff. And this was a misspeak that was bad enough that I'm inclined to agree with Twitch on this ban because it is bad. But you have to be a very disingenuous person to take a look at like Mike's recent track record, like the past 3, 4, however many years, like even just compare that shit to like how ContraPoints treated the situation in Gaza, the genocide in Gaza, that she waited until it was safe to say that it was a genocide. And then she said like, but you guys need to understand and be nice to Israel, right? Compare that to like 5 years of like speaking out about the genocide. And then you have, after watching the 300th Netanyahu clip of him pulling some fucking disingenuous garbage and misspeaking. Is it bad? Of course. Should we disavow? Of course. But you have to be disingenuous to pretend like it's not a misspeak, right? Most European Jews, Ashkenazi, have absolutely no ties to the land of Israel, the Levant, or whatever you want to call it, because they were converts in Europe. We were previously pagan or Christian. I mean, again, that's why he is criticizing Netanyahu when he talks about this being like the homeland for Jewish people, and this being not birthplace, but that all Jews are indigenous to this region, opening up and manufacturing consent for Europeans and Americans to displace people who are actually indigenous to the fucking land. Honest question, Christians are not an ethnicity. Why are Jews? I would be here all day trying to explain this, so I don't even want to bother, and I don't think I would frame it and phrase it perfectly, so I don't even want to bother. But the shortest version is like, it's an ethno-religion, and it is backed by a shared culture like that's like the shortest version of this. I would recommend just reading up on it. I think it'd be easier to just read up on it. Okay. Okay, one second. Oh yeah, I mean, this is also like, need I point you all to the Ethan Klein video where him and Hila go to Israel and they start pointing at Jewish people and saying certain words and terms that are unacceptable? Racism from Ashkenazi to other Jews like Sephardic in Israel is kind of insane. Even worse when Israel first began. Like, need I point out that? Need I show that clip? No, I need not. I am not going to. Okay. So, one second. Sorry, a couple of things. I'm going to get to a couple of things. One sec. Uno momento. Look at this chatter. I can't believe you're encouraging taking accountability for one's actions given your recent track record. Is this growth? You're confusing ethnicity with nationality, unfortunately. You're an idiot. You're actually like an idiot. Ah, yes, the nationality of Sephardic Jews. That makes sense. You seem upset. No response or defense. I think everyone that talks to you gets upset. Mostly because they have to talk to someone that's as stupid as you are. So I would, if everywhere you go smells like shit. Also, man, can I just say, what a bold comment to be like, no response or defense when you didn't build an argument yourself. You just made a statement. You just said a statement that was wrong and then didn't defend it in any way. Amazing. Okay. Nothing to say. No comment. All right, moving on. Wait. My new verbal tick. Not actually.
My lawyer can't do fucking shit.
Afro, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you. My new favorite audio is the in my head I play, when you press like the walk button in like intersections and then the robot's like, wait. That lives in my head. And now it lives in all of your heads. Get fucked. All right. It's called stimming. You're right. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, I want to highlight a couple things. Also, hi VO. I saw VO was in chat, so I want to read those as well. And then we'll get through everything. Pull this up. No. Mike easily knows better than all that. All it takes is a modicum of focus to never do it again. But who was sitting on the clip? I mean, yeah, I think the thing that was frustrating is like, let me just say a couple of things. First of all, let me just say I'm very grateful that you guys. I was gonna say one sentence, but it's not an accurate sentence. So I'm trying to frame it in a way that is accurate. This stream feels more like this sounds so, I am so parasocial towards chat, dude. I'm so cooked. I'm so fucking cooked. Okay, not to be parasocial on my part, but it feels more like hanging out with a bunch of people and learning about stuff together. Like, I feel like I ask chat questions as often as people in chat ask me questions. Like, I feel like I often ask people in here, like, hey, are there any, like, welders? Are there, like, any people that have worked in sanitation? Can I ask a question? Do you guys, like, know how this works? Like, I feel like I ask like I said, you guys questions as often as I feel like people in here ask me questions. And I feel like there have been streams that we've learned about stuff together. This is the most parasocial streamer can be. But because of that, when I misspeak, which I do relatively often, everyone in chat immediately calls me out. And then they're like, excuse me? What the fuck did you just say? Excuse me? Which lets me like think about the position, clarify if I misspoke, or admit to or address a position that I shouldn't agree with. So the best example of this would be the memory clip, the comically ancient, comically clip-chimped memory clip, where I said, you know, like, yeah, but children aren't like really forming these memories at like 3, right? Like long-term wise. And people in chat were like, excuse me, what? Excuse me, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, oh, you know, like childhood amnesia. You can have a couple and you'll have a lot of like light bulb memories where you remember them very vividly. Like I remember scratching my knee really vividly. But you're not like, there's nothing that's getting very cemented. And it's interesting because there's a lot of like theories about like why this is, but basically one of the leading ones is that we don't have language, so you don't have a way to like actually store these memories in a way that you have a way to store and like put them in chronological order once you develop language. But prior to language, it's a lot harder to manually store these things, right? And I also said very, very clearly in that clip, because of chat saying like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what did you say? I was like, yeah, and that has nothing to do with trauma. You can have no memory of something, and chances are you probably have very few memories, just statistically speaking. You probably have less than you can count on your hands from like under 3, but doesn't mean something traumatizing couldn't have happened, and doesn't mean that trauma couldn't have carried over, right? And also, it doesn't matter, and I said all of this following this up, where I say like, also, you shouldn't do bad, shitty things to children, because that's crazy. Why would you do that? You're a piece of shit to do that. And that doesn't, even if children couldn't remember anything, you shouldn't do that. Even if like it's a clean slate until you're 5, you shouldn't engage in that behavior and be a piece of shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, none of that is acceptable. So the point that I'm making is that I made a statement that I think if we were having a one-on-one conversation, any reasonable person might have been like, sorry, I just want to make sure, what are you saying here? What are you saying with this? And I would have clarified and be like, oh, obviously, yeah, I agree with everything. Yeah, trauma is not memory. It is true. Childhood amnesia is real. Doesn't justify any negative behavior. Yeah, okay, good. You're still a sane, normal person. Okay, great. Just making sure we're on the same page and you didn't randomly decide you were a crazy person overnight. Okay, cool. Whew, cool. But because I feel like that's the dynamic in this specific chat or in this specific stream, I can make statements and like every other chatter will say something in here and be like, whoa, which helps me because I'm like, oh, this is going to get misconstrued. Sorry, what I mean is this very reasonable statement, this incredibly reasonable statement that is objectively true. That trauma does not equal memories. Even if kids couldn't remember anything, you shouldn't traumatize them. And that childhood amnesia is real and you're probably only keeping a handful of memories. Okay. Yeah, those are all reasonable positions. None of that is unreasonable. Great. So I will say I'm very happy having this dynamic because it helps me not get caught misspeaking. And when I do misspeak about something, if I do misspeak about something, I feel like I get to remedy it immediately, which I really appreciate. And I imagine if that dynamic was different, it'd be a lot harder to catch myself when I do misspeak or when I do when something does get misconstrued. Why do you hate children, Denims? Stop. I feel a strong moral code that when a child tries to get my attention in public, it's like, well, I would be a monster to not say, your toy truck looks so cool, yeah. But I would never willingly spend time with children. But it's like, how, you can't, dude, a little kid wants to high five you and you're not going to high five them, what are you, a fucking monster? What are you, a fucking demon? I just always look at the parent first and I'm like, okay, no. Oh, you want me to high five them? Do you want me? Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Cause like, I'm not trying to, you know, like I know some parents don't want anything. So I was in a cafe with a friend and like, there were these two parents with their kids. I don't know. They're like 3, 4. And they like kept like trying to fuck with my plate of like food and stuff. And I was like, I really don't care. I don't care. I don't want them putting their mouth near stuff that my mouth has been on because my bacteria is going to be different. I don't want them to get sick. So I like kept having to take the cup away. But I was like, yeah, they can play with the tray. They can fucking break the tray. Is it okay? Like, do you want me to stop them from it? Because I don't care. They're literally stimming. Okay. They're interacting with the world. They're not using their fucking iPad. If they want to pick up my tray and do this to it, I'd rather them do that than sit on the fucking iPad. As long as the parents are okay with it. Yeah, sure. Fucking, you can fucking destroy that tray. I really don't care. It's fine with me. That's cool. That's cool with me. But like willingly spending time with kids, no. Because I feel like all my attention has to go to like, you know, making sure that kid doesn't hurt themselves or something stupid. But moving on. Moving on. Let me get back to the topic at hand. Let me get back to the topic at hand. Oh, I remember the point that I was trying to make. Basically, I like that you guys hold me accountable is the shortest version of it. And I like that you guys are willing to or feel comfortable doing it immediately. Because I think it's very easy to correct and remedy my statements and my sentences when I'm immediately called on it. Because it's very easy to be like, oh, you know, like, I'm so sorry. Like, that's not. And I've misspoken plenty of times on stream. And I've said things plenty of times on stream that needed clarification. And I was able to provide clarification because of you guys. And like, maybe Mike's stream doesn't allow for that as much, in which case, you know, maybe he should change his environment a little bit. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on. But this definitely should have been something like in this moment. This should have been something that people immediately called out and people immediately said, like, what the fuck did you just say? And I can't speak on what his chat does or like how the people in his chat respond, but they should have responded in the moment and said like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? Can you repeat that? my ears must have been, because that's what you guys do in here. And that's what I appreciate, right? I appreciate that a lot. And like, from the chat messages, no one even pointed out. And like the people that apparently clipped it didn't approach Mike and have him like disavow it beforehand. Like this is the first time he's hearing about it from my understanding. And let me see. There were like a couple other messages that I wanted to highlight. And then I have a couple other things that I want to highlight. 1 second. I like disagreeing with you if you're disagreeing with Hassan and getting pulled up, though. As long as you listen, chat, as long as you disagree with me in good faith, I think I'm pretty reasonable. Unless you write, like, you're literally wrong about everything and you should fucking delete your channel and never speak again. It's like, okay, well, now I have to fucking ban you because you're annoying. But as long as you disagree in good faith and you're like, I understand what you were trying to say, or I don't think that phrasing is good or something, like, you know, it's fine. But anywho, continuing, this is, I think, some things I want to highlight. He fucked up. But it's not in his character. Doesn't mean he didn't fuck up. Like Denim said, it's not in his character. I remember in his recent streams, like a day before his ban, Mike was saying it's an ethno-religion. He has no history of being like this. Normal people see that. And that's what I said. I didn't see it a year ago. I saw it the other day. That doesn't mean he didn't say what he said, nor does it excuse the other racist thing he said the other day, which, like, yeah. Like, someone can fuck up in a really just, like, atrocious way and also apologize. And also, if you've watched any of Mike's streams or spoken to Mike or followed him at all, you would know that this is so out of character that it has to be a misspeak that he should apologize for. And yeah, Casey, I agree. It's just a lot of it is like, and that's why I think a lot of this right now, especially the fact that like these are resurfaced clips following the Lolo incident. I think a lot of this is people having this anger about Lolo and about white leftists, and specifically, you know, someone like Lolo using their power to sexually harass a massive amount of people and threaten people. And there's a lot of anger that people have, rightful anger, and nowhere to take it out because Lolo's kind of just like disappeared off the internet because there's nothing left for him. And instead of us using this as an opportunity to be like, hey, like, this is fucked up, you need to apologize, and like, this is unacceptable, and we have to be better than this. Like, we have to be better than this. You have a great track record. You know, you've spent the past however many years streaming, trying to improve leftist conditions, trying to improve conditions for everybody involved on the left, but you have to do better than this. Like, this is point blank. And anyone who, even people who like Mike in here, you should demand that he apologizes for something like this. But to see this and not know that this is a very obvious divide and derail attempt, that this is an attempt to cause leftist infighting, is insane. Is insane. And like, I've always held this opinion, by the way, I've always held this opinion that I don't expect anyone to get over or forgive someone of when they belong to the group that was insulted, harassed, or any of the above, right? And so like to people in like the Black community, if you saw the buck breaking clip and you were like, this is unacceptable, like I'm good. Like, I'm not going to fucking sit here and be like, you should forgive him right now. You should forgive him right now. No, that's not who I'm speaking to. I'm not speaking to those people. I'm saying to the people who watch Mike, to the people who like Mike, and to the people in the leftist spaces here, you should demand more and you should ask for more. This is a good opportunity right now to demand more out of the leftists that we prop up. Right? In the same way, I wanted to highlight this. Chatter said, as a Jewish man, I'm offended by Mike's words. I trust his friends who say that he meant something else. I'm more upset by the way the community is so quick to jump down people's throats who are rightfully upset. Why is it hard to understand? When people are hurt, you should listen to them. Again, not speaking to you, Denims. I find chat's blind trust to their favorite stream concerning. I've seen a lot. Maybe I'm like blind to it. I don't know. It's possible. It's also a lot of chat messages. It's hard to read every single one. But I've seen a lot of people that are holding the position you're holding of like, no, this is that are holding the position of no, clearly anti-Semitism 100%. So I feel like most of chat has been the opposite of blind trust. But I also think that it's because of, again, the situation that happened just now with Lolo that has gotten a lot of people rightfully angry. And rightfully concerned and rightfully calling out white leftists that have power. Yeah, I agree with you, ectozoologist. I do feel like there's been a little bit of overtop reaction lately to mistakes made in the leftist community. Mike messed up, Hassan messed up. They should apologize, but we know Hassan isn't transphobic and Mike isn't anti-Semitic. Yeah. Yeah. Somehow this is Asmongold's fault. This is going to be your first chat message. Brother, you have been following for over a week. Try again. Send another message. I'm going to pretend like that wasn't your first message. Try again. Bad chatter. Bad. Bad. Hand me the stick. Bad. No. Just like rewrite this. Say, my King Asmongold would never. Just like anything else. Okay, this was cringe. This is cringe. This was very cringe. Everybody knows the joke is this is Hassan's fault somehow. Okay, come on. All right, moving on. Last thing also, not fully moving on, but TLDR, my point is I'm never going to ask people of a marginalized group to forgive or to demand more from someone who fucked up in that way, right? I do anticipate and I do expect everybody else to pick up that fucking slack. So like, I'm never going to tell Black viewers, well, you should still watch Mike because he messed up when he said buck breaking and like, you should grow up and like move on. And he didn't mean it and blah, blah. No. If that's like the straw for you and that's the line for you, hey man, I get it. I mean, like sometimes that's what people respond to, right? And same thing with this. It's like what he said was fucked up. What he said was the words that he said in the order he said them in were ban-worthy. And I think if like that's it for you and it doesn't matter to you that he
5
misspoke.
months of watching Denims use fungicide on all this mold. Keep it coming, sis.
If it doesn't matter to you that he misspoke and just like him misspeaking at all about it is like the line for you, that's, I understand. I'm not going to tell you to be like, well, you should forgive him right now. Like, no. I think the rest of us have a responsibility to demand more. I think the rest of us have a responsibility to be like, you should apologize. You should admit that this wording was fucked up. And you should be very clear and you should make sure to not do this again. Because it is. It absolutely is. Also, VO says, I just want to make it clear, Mike is genuinely sorry and he knows he fucked up. He's going to be addressing it and is going to take accountability. I mean, like, I feel like I know Mike decently well. And I think for something like this, it would be fucking insane if he didn't take accountability. So yeah. Did he misspeak though? How did he even know that term? I never even heard of it. I mean, on like the buck breaking one, I had never even heard of the term either. I'm like, dude, the problem is that I spent all of my time on the internet playing video games and like on Tumblr. So I like didn't get exposed to a lot of this lingo. Like, I feel like every time I'm on Twitter, I learn a new slur and I'm like, I didn't want to know this. I didn't want to know this. Man, fuck, dude. Fuck. But like, seemingly this was about the same time that I'll play it again. It was like this.
You let them fucking put the dress on you, dude. You let them buck break you here, dude. That's clearly.
And like, I know Stabby is very big in the community and people really like Stabby. And I can see how while he was trying to say cuck, he was thinking of maybe this clip or Stabby saying this or all these other people saying this and maybe thinking that it wasn't that it was socially acceptable to make this claim or like socially acceptable to say these words. Because he wasn't talking about it in a racial context. He was talking about the political party. He was talking about the Democratic political party being totally fucking cucked, which they are. The Democratic Party is totally fucking cucked. And so like, I understand how in the moment he could be like, oh, okay, that's just like unacceptable to use. Okay, got it. I've never even heard of this term. I didn't hear of it either. I think I've heard of it like once, but I didn't know what it meant. So, yeah. Maybe the left has gotten too comfortable. We need to do better, but I don't think that this should lead to cancellation. Yeah. I think it's like, there are a few leftist voices that I think have spent a lot of time trying to do good and trying to improve the political climate. And when someone in a leftist space, when a creator in a leftist space fucks up, especially when they are white, cis, and male, I think that we have a duty to call them out and to hold them accountable. And then, like, obviously on repeat offenses, just like, that's it, it's done. Like, that person's not going to change, right? But like on a first fucking offense, like, I think it's important to make a real effort, make a real attempt to improve these spaces. And then it's like, after a certain point, then yeah, fuck them. Like Anna Kasparian, I think is actually Anna Kasparian is the perfect example. I was totally cool with rehabilitating Anna Kasparian when she made the homeless comment and when she made the birthing person comment. I was like, okay, we can still fix her. And there were so many people that were so polite and they were like, hey, you know, like, here's everything you need to know about the birthing person thing. Like, it's used in medical context and it actually helps give women autonomy because then women aren't just synonymous with birthing person. Birthing person is separate from womanhood, right? And like, this is, if you don't, you know, like this term, it's weird that you're saying that you were called it because again, it's only used really in medical terms because it is the more appropriate term to use. It's the more specific term, et cetera, et cetera. And like people fixed it. They told her everything and she was like, oh, okay, I understand. And then a week later, she's like, anyways, the left is canceling me for this. So like, I would keep an eye and see if Mike gets on. I would be surprised if this happened, but if Mike gets on and says like, the left is canceling me, then, you know, we just flush it. Then it's like, if he pulls Anna Kasparian route, you just like, it's not. After Anna Kasparian, I can realize that that's not savable. Like that's just, it's once someone isn't even willing to apologize and they show zero willingness to like move on or learn or whatever, like just, yeah, I mean, Anna Kasparian right now this is what she's doing. After she doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, quintupled down on the homeless person thing, that we need to just fucking send all the homeless people to the homeless person crushing machine, and that the trans people are making us look transphobic.
The main reasons why I decided to go on his podcast is because I'm curious about him, right? Like we see him in the media, we hear what he has to say, but it's entirely different to get to experience it for yourself. And he lives in rural Maine. It is as rural as it gets. He employs locals. He lives pretty modestly considering how unbelievably wealthy he is. I mean, not only was his biological mother wealthy, his adoptive mother was also incredibly wealthy, you know, an heir to the Swanson fortune. And he lives in a rural part of the country in a modest home. Like it just, you would expect him to live in like a mega mansion in Beverly Hills or something, but that's not the case, which I thought was interesting. Now,
like it's over, and it's been over with Anna Kasparian for years now. It's over. It's totally it's just she's fried, she's cooked, she's baked, she's broiled. It's over. But we gave Anna Kasparian so many tries. We gave her like fucking 50 tries. Well, not all of us, but like. I gave Anna Kasparian like 5. I was like, please, no, please don't do this. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, it's over. Time to go to making fun of you on Twitter. I'm like, that's it. It can't be fixed, it can't be fixed. So, you know, like, it's overcooked, it's overcooked. You got to start over, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's tough. It's just tough. And like, that's what I think we can take away from this situation as well. What gets me is many people don't take into account the years of advocacy from Mike. I think it's a little bit of approaching the situation. Good faith for Mike would be appropriate. Exactly. There's 3 different clips going around. One is like months old. One is like a year old. And there's a third one. I don't know. If you're being a leftist, really bad timing to pull out a clip. You've been sitting on a critique Mike while he's being harassed. Well, like, I don't think to be clear, I don't think he's being harassed. I think he's being criticized. Because like, I don't want to diminish people's criticisms of like the buck breaking clip. Because that's not being harassed. That's people genuinely criticizing and genuinely saying, this, I don't like this. And that's fair. Like I think that's a legitimate criticism. I don't think that's harassment. Not to say that Mike doesn't get harassed. Mike does get harassed, but you know, all the leftists get harassed, but mostly by fucking like rightoids, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I've always said this as well. But like, I think leftism should be about rehabilitation, or at the very least, like there should be accountability and there should be an attempt at rehabilitation, right? And I think especially if you're like a white cis male, I think you have a responsibility to try and improve these spaces. And you have a responsibility to hold these people accountable. And I think we should. And I think we should. And I think we should not create another Anna Kasparian. We should do that no more. And I think we can, you know, again, criticize the behavior, say, you know, you need to apologize for this. This is unacceptable language. And we should, like, as leftists, we should never get anywhere close to using any language like that, even accidentally. Why do you always qualify with race? Well, because I'm not going to expect people who were wronged, who are part of the community that was wronged, to do the manual labor, to do the emotional labor there. That feels morally repugnant. Like, I'm not going to ask a victim to rehabilitate her or his. That's fucking crazy. In the same way, I'm not going to ask someone who was like, who felt hurt by Mike's words, who felt hurt when he used the term buck breaking, whether that was accidental or not. I don't expect them to do the emotional labor. That's fucking weird. No. Billions must reflect and self-improve. Yeah. Yeah. Also, please correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Asman do like an anti-Mike push just before or during this stuff happened? Doesn't diminish the concern, but concurrently happening is really bad timing. Yeah. Yeah. I saw people saying we can do better than Mike, which, like, of course we can always do better, but I feel like it's just such a bad take given Mike's record's overall good. I mean, I would go farther than overall good. I would say, like, his track record is overwhelmingly good. I think he is, like, one of the staunchest leftists who has actively tried as hard as he can to make leftist spaces more welcoming and has actively talked about, you know, creating room for minorities, basically, right? And that's why when he acts this way, he should be criticized for it. Also, to your point of people wanting to express anger at Lolo, I found that there's been some lazy and haphazard lumping of Mike in with that situation, which is gross. Yes. Yes. I mean, I even saw people lumping in, like, Comrade Casey. It's like, what's happening? What is going on? I get that people are upset, rightfully upset. And they should be upset at Lolo, but, like, dude, why are we lumping these people in together? These are not related people. These are not related issues. Like, I'm sorry, when you're at the point where you're being a fucking sex pest and you're, like, sending, I don't even know, God knows how many messages to God knows how many people, and you're sending unsolicited dick pics and dick videos, and you're tweeting about how, like, TLDR, women are objects. That is like, you know what you're doing. There is full intent there. That is miles away from making a comment in reference to Bibi talking about denying nationality for the Palestinians there, and then lumping up all Jewish identities to build more fucking propaganda for Israel that all Jews are indigenous to Israel, which is just as a way to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians that are actually indigenous to that region. And then misspeaking and saying anti-Semitic shit. Like, these are different things, and both should be criticized. Well, one of them, like Lolo, there's no forgiving Lolo. There's no, like, welcoming Lolo. Like, that's you throw the baby out with the bathwater. You throw the Lolo out with the water. Just throw the whole thing out. Because, like, one of them is a pattern of behavior. Okay? So, yeah. Whereas The other one is absolutely not. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. And I do want to say, like, I want to be very clear. You guys already know me. I already went on a fucking 20-minute diatribe, an hour-long diatribe about this. But I appreciate that you guys call me out. And I appreciate that when I do misspeak and when I have misspoken, or when I've made statements that are like on the surface a little sus, and you're like, that you guys do say things. And so I want to push back on this just a little bit. The left will never build a real momentum, unified movement, or a strong leader to challenge the right because it's too caught up in its own virtue and moral purism, quick to tear down anyone who tries to step up, often over a single problematic word from decades-old interview/tweet. The one criticism I will say is that I feel like this diminishes people's rightful concerns and rightful criticisms. And I don't appreciate that. Like, the people who are upset, they're not upset over nothing. They're upset over something reasonable. They're upset over statements that are anti-Semitic, and they're upset over statements that are racist and terms that are racist. And like that should be criticized, because the problem is if you don't criticize it, you end up with like Kamala Harris. You end up with people that are not beholden to anyone ever. And then guess what? Status quo stays as it is. And queer people get ignored. Trans people get ignored. Black people get ignored. Brown people get ignored. Like, you just start ignoring all of these other people because they're not important. Yeah, I saw like Sean had a good statement about this as well, talking about basically that there isn't enough effort to care about and hear Black voices in the left space. And the problem is you end up with people, not always, but like you can end up with people like Lolo, because no one is criticizing the behavior, because it's like, well, you know, we're doing no. I think it's the same thing with Kamala. You criticize the shit out of these people so that they fucking change, and if they don't, then you dump them, then you flush. But the start point is you criticize, you wait to see what the response is, and then you, if the response is positive, great, because that's someone showing you, hey, when it comes to things that matter, I will change. That's exactly the type of person you want at the front of any movement. You want the type of person that feels like they are beholden to their constituents, so to speak. So like, that is the ideal. The ideal is you have someone that sits center stage, or like one of many people that sits center stage. And when you criticize them, they change. When you criticize them, they say, I fucked up. You're right. I'm sorry. I will never let this happen again. That's what you want. So if anything, like, I don't know, this is my glass half full brain turning on, where, yeah, I want to, how the Mike and Lola situation is related, what is really making marginalized people upset is as soon as the accusations about their favorite streamers start, parasocial followers piled up on the victims of that, considering issues, everyone has blind spots. The only dissenting opinion that I will have on this, tiny one, because it's like, it's a very caveated issue, but with Lolo, that's someone like the believe all women and believe all victims comes from talking about sexual harassment, sexual abuse, sexual assault, right? That's not a conversation that's like, we should be having this debate to figure out, you know, well, was the sexual harassment really that bad? Like, we shouldn't be having that conversation. When it comes to like issues of dialogue, you can have that conversation. You can have that kind of criticism. We can have that back and forth. We just don't want to open the door for that type of back and forth when it comes to like victims and their stories. So it is a little bit different. And I think it's important that we recognize the difference between these things, especially because the type of person, again, to sit on that clip instead of approaching Mike concerns me. Like, that feels like if someone in here did that in this stream, I would feel disappointed in them, but I would also feel disappointed in the stream that I feel like, have I not harbored an environment where you guys feel like you can just say something? Say something. Say something. like, if I say something and it sounds fucked up, it sounds racist, anti-Semitic, transphobic, whatever, I want any of you to be able to like email me or whatever, or even send a message in chat at the in the moment, being like, that was not okay, right? I got some heat on you, Tens. Yeah. So yeah. There's like basically the line here, the tightrope to walk here is being able to criticize people who have power, whether that's like having an audience on Twitch or whatever. Being able to criticize them and create better leftist environments without going so hard that we're just destroying the good systems that we have, or like the good people that we have, or the good pillars that we have, or whatever, right? So, yeah. Also, the fact that like this VOD is so old that it doesn't exist anymore, so we can't even see how Mike responded, is like whether or not someone did bring it up. I mean, I don't remember stuff from like 2 months ago. I couldn't tell you. If you show me a clip from 2 months ago on my stream, there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was. I'd be like, I don't fucking know. Have you seen my stream? So yeah. It's not about destroying, it's about correcting. Yeah, well, there's like, so this is like the duality of leftist, right? And I want to, now it's my turn to play with dolls. Oh my God. I saw like this like Japanese salary woman is like making the rounds on Twitter, and their wife jacking her. And I said, the conservatives are playing with their dolls again. My wife Jack is better than your wife Jack. My wife Jack has big boobies and your wife Jack has no boobies. Yeah, well, my wife, they're literally playing with dolls. Like, they're actually playing with dolls. And then a bunch of people in the comments are like, you're mad that women are pretty. It's like, no. Oh, I hate beautiful women on my timeline. Oh, I'm so unattracted to women. I hate it when women are pretty. You're so right. Oh, if only someone would stop showing me. Just like, can you tell me where all the pretty women are online so I can never go there ever? Please. It's like, I'm obviously making fun of the people making the fucking wife jacks of these fucking women. I'm making fun of the person who's drawing them and playing with their dolls. And it's like, well, how do you know this person is a conservative? You go to their page, the second comment down, friend. Bro, we're doing no research here. There's no effort, no effort at all. Well, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? And I want to, now it's my turn to play with dolls. I want to take this leftist, and I want to take this leftist, and then I want you guys to kiss. Okay, now kiss. Where it's not about destroying, it's about correcting. The people who are criticizing right now, I can say for a fact that the leftists that are criticizing right now are just tired of leftists that are in power that don't care to listen to marginalized people, and they're just tired of seeing it over and over and over again. And they want more and they want better out of their creators, or they want better out of their political leaders or whatever. And then the other group is like, if all you do is criticize, and nothing else, you are not actually trying to build a fucking movement. You're trying to create something so pure that it's impossible. And what you should instead be doing is like trying to correct, getting a version that is much better, and then using that to actually enact good change for everyone, for all leftists involved, right? And so like, you both want the same thing. Now kiss. Now kiss. Okay. So anywho. And I want both groups, because like, if you're watching leftist fucking Twitch or Twitter or whatever, we all want the same thing. We want our movements to be all encompassing. We want them to highlight intersectionality, and we want everyone, regardless of race, class, gender, sexuality, regardless of all immutable characteristics, to live a good life, to have financial stability, to not have to worry about healthcare. We all want the same thing here, right? And so, to summarize, to wrap up, I think Mike will get on. I think he will apologize, and I think this is a great opportunity to get change from people that we do want more from, that we expect better from. So yeah. It's like how Hassan and Bad Empanada didn't realize how little they disagreed, if at all, until they talked to LMAO. Sort of, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that speaks. I think that's what I think. So no gaming today. So no gaming. Fuck. I think that what if Mike doubles down? He won't double down, and if he does, flushing toilet noise. He won't. He won't. But again, it's like, I think for Mike viewers and people who've watched any Mike, or even like peripherally engage with Mike, even if you don't watch him because he gets too mad for you, for your taste, you still know that it would be very out of character for him to double down, right? I mean, it would make no sense. But so I think I think there's a 0% chance. I think there's a 0% chance. So yeah. And no, to be clear, that people keep thinking that clip of Caroline is about Mike and Lolo, and that's absolutely not the case. That clip was about that clip was absolutely just about Lolo. Also, that clip was from before Mike got banned. Yeah. Why are you making it sound like he wouldn't apologize? No, I'm saying that on the possibility that he gets like a Fetterman style stroke and loses his fucking mind in the next week of being banned. Because that's possible. I mean, it is possible for him to pull a Fetterman and then just, it's out of his control. And then he just goes full Zionism. Like, I don't fucking know, dude. Anything is possible. All right. Unless he gets severe brain damage in the next week. No. For how long did he get bonked? I think it was, I think Nandre said it was a week. I don't. But also, I know that like Twitch is weird, and like I've heard from Twitch people that they sometimes will have bans. I don't fucking know. Anywho. Okay, we're going to call it there. That ended up taking a lot more time. But I guess like talking about leftist issues is kind of important, and it does eat up a lot of time to handle it responsibly. But yeah, I think that was everything. I think that was everything. Maybe we'll talk about it. We'll cover it just barely tomorrow for weekend viewers. But all of that, oh my God, look, he's sleeping. Oh my God. I'm going to eat you, America. So cute. Oh my God. So cute. All right, sorry. Toxoplasmos. Anywho, thank you all for tuning into the stream. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay hydrated, tell your homies you love them, and I will see all of you guys tomorrow.